How bad do you want it? This is an exceptional episode. I'm delighted to have my good friend Carl White and Kristin Simpson with us this afternoon. Just excited to talk about this episode. I'm your host, Steve Kiles. You're listening to the Loan Officer Leadership Podcast. How bad do you want it, Carl White? Kristin?
I mean, that's the question right there. How bad do you want it?
That
It's
came up this
5:30.
morning. Yeah.
It's 5:30 in the morning. Those of us who join us on the Breakfast Club, we do a half an hour Zoom every morning, 8:30 to 9 Eastern time, 5:30 to 6 Pacific time. Frank Garay is our gracious host, and he's up there Frank's probably up at 3 or 4 in
He's
the
like
morning.
up at 4 in the morning, 4:30.
He is.
Running.
And let's talk about that, right? 5:30 in the morning. That's kind of early for me to get up to kind of get a daily dose of what I'm doing today and get a daily plan. How bad do we actually want this?
Man, that's a great question. Yeah. So first of all, if you're not part of the Breakfast Club,
Yeah.
you're leaving most of the money on the table.
Mm.
So if you go to loanofficerbreakfastclub.com, loanofficerbreakfastclub.com, every morning from 8:30 to 9 o'clock a.m., which we designed it that way so it doesn't interrupt with your sales activity, right? And every morning we get on there and we discuss different strategies to close more loans. And I just want to make it clear, we're not throwing anybody under the bus, right? It was a valid statement that, hey, that's early in the morning. If you do this in the afternoon, which would be their morning, hey, then I'd come. But yeah, I'm not coming at 5:30 in the morning. So and it's a valid statement, right? I get it. But it really comes to what you said, Steve. How bad do you want it? Yeah. So every year, my income is what some people win when they win the state lottery, right? So I've got a really nice, I can appreciate it. If I said, hey, Bob, and I'm just making up a name here. So if you show up at 5:30, I'll give you the lottery numbers. What do you think the odds are that he or she would show up if they knew I'm going to give you the winning lottery numbers for this Friday, and you're gonna win $4 million? What do you think the odds are they would show up, Kristin?
I mean, I'd be there.
Yeah, and I'd say 100 out of 100 would, right? And what people don't understand is the money that can be made as a loan officer. This is some serious stuff. Now, Granted, it's not as easy as grabbing a lottery ticket and putting in the right dots and the right numbers, and then giving it to the cashier. And then 3 days later, you win the lottery and you go and you pick up your money, right? I mean, that's certainly way easier way to make $4 million than to close loans or whatever, average 6-7 million, whatever the number is, right? Hell, even 500,000, right? I mean, pick a number. Hell, 100,000.
Hell,
$100, right? I just want to clarify. If I drop a penny, somebody asked me that the other day. If you drop a penny, do you pick it up? Oh, hell yeah. Because if I didn't, the lovely Mrs. White would beat me over the head with a stick, but it just, like, you have to understand that the kind of money that we can make here as a loan officer, it's lottery money. Like, it really is. We call it NFL money, that we make more than the vast majority, not all, right? I think Brady was making 25 million a year or something like that. That's more, it's more than what we make, right? But the average NFL player, we make more than what they do, and we don't have to go run around the field and do push-ups. So it's just how bad, it's just how bad do you want it? I do, at the last event we went to, I handed out this little piece of paper, and it had numbers on it from 0 to 10. And I said, how bad do you want this? Circle that number. And so they all did. And I didn't ask to share it. I said, all right, everybody got your number circled. Yep, we got it. All right. So I'm not going to ask for a raise of hands, but anybody put less than 10, you're in for a hard couple years. All right. It's just the way it is. You're in for a hard couple years. And that, look, making $400,000 a year, $500,000 a year as a loan officer, It's hard work.
Yeah.
And if you have a proven plan that's mapped out to you every Monday through Thursday at 5:30 in the morning, how bad do you want it? Right. And I don't know of another. I was trying to think of a nice way to play this when we pick the topic, and because I don't want to offend anybody, because it's a valid point that he makes up, but it's like, I mean, this is big, big, big money that we make. And I was watching a thing on the making of Seinfeld. And number one TV show of all time. I think it's got that distinction now. And I saw the schedule that those ladies and gentlemen did when they did that show. It was relentless. I mean, it was a brutal schedule, memorizing the lines and all the readings, and it took all week to get ready for that. I think what is a 30-minute show or 60-minute show, however long it is. The amount of time they put in that was just brutal. The good news is we can do a 40-hour work week and make a lot of money doing this.
Yeah.
It's just we gotta lace up our shoes and show up. I mean, it's not a free lunch. You got to work for this stuff. It doesn't mean you got to work 80 hours. So for me, if I had to go to bed at 9:00, which I do, by the way, and wake up at 5:15, which I do, by the way, to make the kind of income I make, how bad do you want it?
That's it.
I mean,
I love your picture word, like the lottery. What a great, I mean, you got the winning ticket. Somebody's not testing a plan. The plan's testing whether you'll show up every day.
Yeah.
And if you'll show up every day and just follow the simple scripts, follow the proven process, not even really, it's the 8 hours of sales activity that's being focused on. And then the structure, how to build a team to continue to support your growth as you're growing. The results are there. They're proven. I was thinking about it. I was thinking about your Lexi. And even this weekend, I was just thinking about, man, she was in school as a doctor for 8 years? And we get the opportunity to make doctor money by focus on our business for 9 months, 12 months. I mean, once you get the momentum of your business and the Focus 40 and the relationships and the leads are coming in, and you build your team so that you're focused on sales activity, brother, it's just remarkable. I think we get distracted, Carl, and I think we forget two things. There's an unlimited potential. And number two, all I've got to do is keep showing up. And if I just show up, even when I don't feel like it, consistently over time and follow the plan, I'll see massive results like so many of our members are.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I just did the math. She did 11 years after high school.
Oof.
So 11, almost doubled high school, or
Yeah.
not high school, almost doubled school, like
Sure.
grade and junior, what do they call it? Middle school these days,
Yeah.
and high school. So like an additional 11 years after high school. And the good news is, I mean, it takes us nowhere near hell. At 11, you do this right. At 11 years, you can be looking at retiring, like with a nice, a nice income. I was sitting here as we're talking about this. I'm reminded when I was a kid, I was in the Air Force.
Yeah.
And look, our boot camp was nothing like the men and women of the Marine Corps or the Army. Much, so I hear, and I believe it, much harder boot camp. Right. But it was hard for me. Right. It was hard for me. And I'll never forget, we had this drill sergeant, how he woke us up in the mornings, which, if I remember right, was 5 a.m. And how he woke us up in the morning, he had a trash can. And we slept in this real long row of bunks, right? So it was just, went for, I don't know, about 100 yards, I don't know, 50 yards or whatever, bunk after bunk. So it was just this one long aisleway with bunks on either side. And he'd throw that trash can down that aisle, and you better be up when that trash can went past your bed. So how it worked is and they scored us every day, and that score would add up. And the higher your score, the further down that aisle you could pick your bed, right? So the person at the very beginning of it better wake up pretty darn fast, because if you don't, that counts against you and you don't have a high score. So you'll be there again tomorrow. right? So it was an unbelievable thing. So it went like, how bad do you want to be at the end of that aisle, so that you had, I don't know, 2.2 seconds to get out of bed instead of 0.2, like the first poor guy. And it's like, how bad do you want it? And so, man, I did everything I could. I was the next to the last, when we graduated, I was the next to the last bed, which in that world was the silver medal, right?
Yeah.
So I won the silver medal, and because I wanted it really bad, because if you weren't up, this little guy, he was probably, I don't know, every bit of 5'4", couldn't have weighed 110 pounds, but I was 100% convinced that guy could kill me in 1.2 seconds. And he had a finger, his index finger was made of lead, and he would poke it right in the middle of my chest. And to this day, that freaks me out when somebody pokes me in the chest like that, and it's like, how bad do you not want this animal to be poking his finger in my, and that might not sound bad, but I'm telling you, he had some impressive. You've seen those guys that could like break a brick wall with their finger.
That's him.
He was
like,
one of those guys, right? Yeah, he was one of those guys. So, anyways, like, how bad do you want this? And if you don't want it that bad, I guess it's okay. Just expect those results. And it's like, Tom Brady or Michael Jordan. How bad do you want that next championship? Bad enough. I hear he showed up something like, I don't know. I think it was like 2 hours before everybody else did, and 3 hours. And I'm not saying to work a 50-hour work week, right? I'm not saying that. But the dedication that he had, where he'd show up before everybody else and leave before everybody else. I don't think they weren't there all day. They're not practicing 8 hours, right? But let's say their practice is, I don't even know what it is. Let's say it was 3 hours. He'd show up 2 hours before, and he stayed 2 hours later than everybody else. And
I saw that interview with Michael Jordan, and he said, I wanted them to know that no matter how hard they're willing to work, I'm willing to work harder.
Yeah, that's how bad he wanted those championships, right? Which is why he became the great that he is. By the way, if you have not seen that Netflix special or show called Air, AIR,
it was so good.
Unbelievable. So it gave me a hold. So Michael was amazing. His mama was the champion. Yeah. Right. His mama, unbelievable lady. So I really enjoyed that. So anyway, how bad do you want it?
That's great. Hey, and if you're listening today, join us at the loanofficerbreakfastclub.com, loanofficerbreakfastclub.com. And that's where we meet on our Monday through Thursday Zoom from 8:30 to 9 a.m. Eastern. Would love for you to join us. What a great, things like this come up every single morning. Kristin, you've got a Kristin's Corner, Carl and Frank and you and myself. We're just literally talking through the things that are helping our community move the needle the most. And join us there, loanofficerbreakfastclub.com. Thank you for listening to the podcast and being a part of this community. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to it. That way you get it every single time we release an episode. And then also share it with 2 other loan officers that need to maybe hear a message like this today that's saying, hey, I need to be challenged in how bad do I really want it? Do I want it bad enough to keep pushing when I don't think or feel like pushing anymore? And then also tell us how the podcast is helping you in your journey. We'd love an honest review. It always helps. So any last thoughts, Kristin?
Yeah, I do. If you're, we all have the same opportunity here, right? And to make earning potential, who knows, right? Sky's the limit. But if you're thinking to yourself, I do want to prepare, but you need that group to align with that's going to help pull you along. The Breakfast Club is the place to be. We're there every morning. We're talking about what we can do, what moves the needle right now. We're focusing on our actions and our efforts, not whatever else is going on. So if you're looking for that kind of a group, we got you covered.
Couldn't say it better. loanofficerbreakfastclub.com. All right, y'all. Remember this. Anything worth doing is worth doing badly. Just get started. See ya.